and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavor show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, we sift through them, and pull out the key insights to help you feel really well informed.
Yeah.
Today, we're looking at a fascinating snapshot of village life, really. It's drawn from some audio recordings you shared with us. Mm-hmm. And our mission, I suppose, is to unpack the complexities that are often hidden in just everyday chat.
Right.
Things like community projects, new relationships versus old ones, and, those very human struggles with things like loneliness or change.
It's amazing, isn't it, how these seemingly small moments, very domestic stuff, really, they show these much bigger themes.
Exactly.
Human connection, the value we place on community spaces, and the emotional needs that often we don't even talk about, but they drive our decisions.
So true.
So we'll be looking at, how one village is grappling with keeping its community shop going, the practical side, but also the principles.
Yeah, the principles are a big part of it.
Definitely. And then there's the dynamics of new romances causing ripples, you could say, through a social circle.
Ripples is a good word for it.
And also that quiet sort of revelation of loneliness, even when someone seems surrounded by people in a busy house. So the big question is, how do these individual stories, reflect broader truths about how we all live and connect? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with that community shop. It seems like a real cornerstone, right?
Absolutely.
The sources show this really lively discussion about moving it into the local church, of all places.
Which is quite a step.
It is. And on one hand, you hear real excitement, people talking about the atmosphere it could have.
Yeah, Tracy mentions Christmas, doesn't she? Candles, festive displays.
She does. She imagines people traveling just for that Christmas shopping experience. Sounds like a real community booster.
Something Alan's wanted for years, apparently, getting people into the church building.
Yeah, right, bringing them in.
And, zooming out a bit, this really shows how these community spaces are evolving. Their roles are changing.
How so?
Well, the church isn't just seen as a place for worship anymore. It's potentially a hub, social, commercial.
Lifeline, maybe.
Exactly. Especially for people without transport. It's about getting provisions, yes, but maybe just as important, it's that point of human connection.
Like chatting with Joy at the counter.
Precisely. For some people, that might be the only real conversation they have all day.
That's a really powerful point about the church becoming a broader hub. But, does embracing that commercial side risk, diluting its main purpose? The sacred side.
Or is it just necessary survival these days?
Yeah.
It's a definite tension. You hear it in the recordings. Lots of people see the benefit, sure. But there are parishioners who say they just won't worship in a church that has commercial stuff going on.
That's tough.
It's a really tricky balance. Maintaining the sacred space versus acknowledging the practical needs of the community, which ironically might include keeping the church itself afloat financially.
And that brings us to the real snag, doesn't it?
The bombshell.
Yeah, Ellen drops this bombshell, a fee for hiring this space.
And Susan, one of the volunteers, is just floored.
Completely. You hear her ask, what happened to the church supporting the community? It just throws that tension into sharp relief.
Service versus financial reality.
She calls it money grabbing. Especially, for a tiny volunteer shop that's already lost money selling things at cost.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. But it's also critical to see where the money's going or supposed to go.
Neil makes that point, right?
He does. Very wisely points out it's not like it's going into Alan's pocket. It's for the church itself. Maintenance, running costs. They need funds, too.
So it's that classic balancing act again. Supporting immediate community needs versus the long-term survival of the institution.
Exactly. How do you square that circle?
Well, Neil actually comes up with a rather clever idea, surprisingly.
Oh.
He suggests, okay, maybe a minimal charge, but link it to something specific, a funding goal.
Like what?
Like restoring the church fund.
Ah!
And Susan thinks it's a not bad idea. Sees it as a small gesture that people can see benefiting the church directly.
So it shifts the perspective.
Right. It feels less like just a transaction, more like a shared investment in something historic, something belonging to the whole community. But I wonder, does that really fix the underlying issue?
Or is it a temporary patch? Could Susan still feel the principle was compromised?
Maybe.
It's a really sharp observation, but what's compelling is that shift, like you said, from a fee which sounds transactional, cold, to a funding goal.
Collaborative.
Exactly. Linking it to something tangible, like the font restoration, it turns it into a collective project. Makes it much easier to swallow and easier to sell to the PCC, as they say.
The parochial church council.
What?
The decision makers.
Right. For those maybe less familiar with village workings, this isn't just a simple compromise, you know? It shows how even these sacred spaces are wrestling with their role today.
Balancing act again.
Balancing spiritual integrity with, well, practical shared investment. It's this pragmatic blurring of lines, really, that tells you something deeper about how communities survive now.
And it's not just the community projects showing these tensions. The recordings also catch how personal relationships, even new ones, can really stir things up in a close group.
Ah, yes, Marlene and Martin Gibson.
Right. The general reaction, at least from some like Jazzer, is just disbelief.
Understandable, given Martin's reputation, perhaps.
Apparently. Jazzer thinks calling Martin not that bad is a huge understatement. He's baffled. Marlene is still putting up with him, thinks she must be under a spell.
Under a spell.
And he's worried Martin will just blab out everything, analyze every conversation they have on dates.
So, well, that immediately brings up the community's collective memory, doesn't it? And judgment. Martin clearly has baggage, a reputation.
Seems so.
But what's revealing is the contrast. You've got that outside view, and then Marlene apparently enjoying herself. And it shows how a new couple doesn't just affect those two people, it impacts the whole network. Jazzer's worry about Martin being on the rebound after Pam. That's protective, isn't it?
Yeah, protective of Marlene. Well, his protective instincts are about to get seriously tested.
Oh, dear.
Because Martin, with what sounds like zero self-awareness, goes and books a table for a double date. Him and Marlene, plus Tracy and Jazzer.
No, he didn't.
He did. Jazzer is, well, appalled. You hear him picturing sitting opposite that man, being forced to watch him chew gristle.
Oh, the imagery. You can practically hear him gagging.
Right. He desperately wants out. Says the truth would kill him. Meaning Martin, presumably.
But Tracy agrees.
Tracy agrees, bless her heart. Because Marlene seemed really desperate for them to go, friendship, loyalty.
And maybe the free meal helped. Martin's paying.
Martin's paying, that's mentioned.
Yeah.
So what do you make of Tracy's decision? Pure loyalty or something else?
It taps into that whole web of social obligation, doesn't it? Jazzer's trapped loyalty to Tracy, his friend, but also deep dislike for Martin, who's also his boss.
Oh, right, the work connection too. Adds another layer.
It does. And Tracy's reasoning is interesting. She admits Martin can be hard work, right?
Yeah.
But her logic is, if Marlene likes him, he can't be all bad. It shows how seeing a friend happy can genuinely soften your own view, maybe.
Or at least make you put up with a lot.
Yeah, make you tolerate significant personal discomfort, even with someone who makes you feel indebted, as she puts it. It's this really complex knot of social contracts.
And Tracy's not shy about turning it back on Jazzer either.
How so?
She reminds him he invited Martin to his birthday party without asking her first.
The origin story.
Exactly. Which is how Martin ended up dating Marlene in the first place. It's that perfectly annoying dynamic they have, as Tracy says.
That little detail, it shows those subtle, unintended consequences, doesn't it? And how relationships are always shifting. It also highlights those low bar assessments we make of people sometimes. Jazzer says at least Martin's not a proper weirdo.
Just damning with faint praise, really.
It's a very low bar. But sometimes, apparently, that's enough for a connection to start, against the odds and what everyone else thinks.
Okay, moving from that relationship, let's call it drama, to something quieter, more poignant. The sources reveal this fascinating admission about loneliness. Someone needed a pick-me-up from Chelsea.
Okay.
And it turns out it's linked to Kate supposedly moving in at Willow Farm. This person admits that since Roy moved out, they've actually felt quite lonely.
Wow. That makes you stop and think, doesn't it? About how we perceive our own needs.
How so?
Well, the recording presents this real paradox. This person is forever begging for a moment of peace living with this lot, suggesting a really busy, maybe chaotic household.
Right, you'd think they'd crave the quiet.
Exactly. Yet they also admit that if everyone's suddenly gone, I'd definitely be lonely. Too quiet, too much space.
That hits hard.
It's not just about having people physically there, is it? It's about the quality of that presence, maybe. And the unexpected emptiness left behind, even when you think you want solitude.
It's a powerful point.
Yeah.
Even someone who seems to want quiet can still have that deep need for connection, for companionship.
Yeah. A deep-seated need.
That's the core of the tension right there.
Yeah.
And then, to make it more complicated, Kate's put the move on hold.
Ooh, why?
Supposedly worried about drama at home farm affecting her dad, Brian, especially since Stella quit.
Right, the ripple effect again.
So this person is left wondering, did Kate really change her mind? Or is it a genuine reason? Either way, it leaves them the one who is actually looking forward to sharing the space, finding comfort in that idea.
Back in that too quiet, too much space situation.
Exactly.
It points to how fragile our emotional equilibrium can be, doesn't it? How quickly plans we make to feel less lonely can just get derailed by things outside our control.
True.
Kate moving half her stuff suggests she meant it, you know?
Seems likely.
But family anxieties, worries about trauma, they can absolutely override personal plans. It shows how even someone seemingly indomitable like Kate
Someone who seems self-sufficient?
can be affected by family issues, and then inadvertently that impacts the emotional state of people around them.
So what does all this mean then, when we pull it together?
Yeah, let's try and synthesize.
We've journeyed through, well, the nitty-gritty of village life, haven't we? From that very real debate, financial and philosophical, about the shop moving into the church, to the, frankly, hilarious awkwardness of that double date.
Cringeworthy.
And then that really poignant, quiet admission of loneliness from someone you might assume is never alone.
Right.
These conversations, they seem small, maybe, but they paint such a vivid picture. Connection, compromise, that constant human need to belong.
And if you place this in a wider context like we try to do,
Yeah.
it just underscores how deeply connected our practical choices are with our emotional lives, our emotional landscape. Well, the shop isn't just groceries, is it? It's a social lifeline.
Yeah.
The relationships aren't just about two people, they affect the whole network.
Like ripples in a pond.
Exactly. And that simple desire for peace and quiet, as we heard, can actually mask a really profound need for companionship.
It's clear these village moments are packed with bigger lessons. Community efforts hinging on unexpected fees. Personal history making a simple dinner complicated. And even someone described as indomitable feeling that ache of too much quiet. It's all finding that balance, isn't it? That delicate equilibrium.
Indeed, it really is. And it leaves us perhaps with a thought to chew on, a provocative thought.
Okay.
In our own lives, how often do we maybe confuse wanting quiet, wanting our own space, with a deeper need? A need for connection, for belonging that maybe we haven't fully acknowledged.
That's interesting.
And when we look for community solutions like the shop and the church, are we always truly thinking about the unspoken emotional cost or benefit for everyone involved, beyond just the practicalities?
That's definitely something to mull over.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Any
Are you what we
movements
call Foley then?
and- kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the ball bar. That's,
This one.
yep. That's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever